Hey guys, welcome to another episode. We are the Fantasy Football Scouts. Today we are going to be talking about wide receivers.
Yeah.
Football season is fast approaching, so we want to get you guys ready for your drafts. If you want, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Fantasy Football Scouts. Pretty basic, pretty simple. And we'll start with you, Scott, because I know you love your wide receivers. So you want to just dive right in and talk to us about what you got?
Yeah, sure. Like I've said in other episodes, I target receivers hard, man. When everyone's zigging with the running backs, it's really easy for you to sit there and just realize, shit, I have some serious picks at a plethora of quality receivers, and frankly, I'm surprised more people don't do it. I haven't seen quite a few people do it yet. Last year I had Tyreek Hill and Andre Hopkins. Was really happy with that. The year before that, I had Michael Thomas and Julio Jones.
Yeah,
I felt like it was Julio's last real... you don't want to get these receivers when they're 31, 32.
Yeah.
It starts to get a little chippy, so if you can get a guy and feel great, hey, it's a lot of fun. When you have the players you like and they're doing well... even if you don't win, you're going to have a lot more fun that way. So
You had Tyreek and DeAndre Hopkins last year.
Yeah,
Nice.
and it got pretty easy. And it was a swing pick, so everyone, it doesn't matter where you are, you can get these guys if you're planning on it. So
Yeah, so we'll start with I guess we'll start with guys that we really like, guys that we're looking to draft, and we suggest that you look to draft them as well if you can.
yeah,
Which is really hard because right now we're in that era every 5 years or so when the changing of the guard happens in the NFL. But number one guy that is a really good bang for his buck right now going in the third round, Michael Thomas.
Well, I'll jump in right there and tell you that if you play with me, you won't get him in the third round. I'll make it that simple for you, because I think that this is one of those things where name brand guys for some reason are going lower in the draft than it does in reality when the day comes. I'll take Michael Thomas in the second round. If I lived in a world where Tyreek Hill and Andre Hopkins went, I would take Michael Thomas in the first round. I don't care. It's the way that I roll, and his last year not being good is not an indictment on his career or anything.
So you're really high on Michael Thomas as well as Dan.
Yeah, he's one of my must-haves.
And like you said, so he's projected third round.
Third round
He
right
is,
now.
but not,
He's gonna
not
go-
on my
he's
board.
gonna go
Not on
early.
my board,
Yeah.
And you can think that's crazy if you want.
No, I don't
but
think it is.
again, I like the Saints. I like Jameis Winston can get him the ball for sure. I think even with Taysom Hill, he was catching some balls at the end of the year. Finally,
Yeah.
when he got
Well,
healthy.
he didn't play a whole lot last year. So
But when he did play
so I
those
don't
last
know.
few weeks, he was catching balls from Taysom Hill.
I drafted, I think,
Yeah,
seventh
it
overall.
was a disaster. 'cause
Seventh
he got hurt
overall,
week
Michael
one.
Thomas?
He got hurt week one.
Yeah.
I won't run down all their stats, but my must-have guys are all first-round caliber because I'm trying to target two of the best receivers with my first two picks. That would be Tyreek Hill. He's a monster. You can go through his numbers. They're eye-popping. I don't really need to explain to you he's a good player. DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Thomas, and the fourth guy, because if I can't get all two of these guys, DK Metcalf is the guy that's now jumped into my must-have territory. DK Metcalf and Russell Wilson, they look like the real deal. He is fast. He is strong. I see here he had 83 catches for 129 targets, 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns. I mean,
How do you like combining your wideout with a quarterback? Do you like doing that? Do you think it's beneficial
It depends on the stack, but
to have Wilson and Metcalf, for example?
yeah, I think that's more of a DFS thing, and
Yeah.
I think that in fantasy sports, it's not really necessary.
Yeah.
It's gonna feel really good for you when you crush your opponent because you're down 16 or 20 points
Yeah.
and you pull that off. But you have to remember that you're gonna be subtracting those points from the potential other quarterback that you had. It's not a apples to apples comparison because you'd have to subtract the hypothetical points. That
So
you would get.
really high on Michael Thomas. So if
Higher than the public and higher than
the
the average.
ADP.
Yeah, much higher, and for
Yeah.
good reason. I mean, I'm not sure why this guy is sliding so far down.
DK Metcalf, Dan,
yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now that DK Metcalf's teammate when he was in college at Ole Miss is a must-have as well, and he resides in Tennessee, and that's AJ Brown.
Is that AJ Brown?
nice.
Yeah. Believe it or not, sorry to cut you off. Then I'll get back in there. DK Metcalf is going 22 overall right now, so he's firmly locked in the second round. So no matter who I take, I could potentially grab him. AJ Brown's actually going a little bit higher, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, well, when I look at AJ Brown, I was running through the numbers here, and he's actually just a little bit richer version of Mike Evans. He's going to get you your touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's going to be there for you, and unlike Mike Evans, he doesn't have bricks for hands. So
the only thing that bothers me about AJ Brown is Ryan Tannehill is not a, we'll call, elite gunslinging quarterback. They're a really run-heavy team. It's not a knock on AJ Brown.
And also Julio doesn't bother you?
Julio doesn't bother me only because Julio's a guy that doesn't practice.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard for him to get in the rhythm with Tannehill, and also
good point.
And Julio's on the back end of his career.
I think it's a fair point, though. I think Julio's presence is a fair point. I mean, I don't know if he's going to take away coverage or how many balls he's going to catch, but I think it's a fair point to be worried about him cutting into that production.
Yeah, it's a tough call, AJ Brown or DK Metcalf. I think I like DK more, even though AJ is ranked a little bit higher.
Russell Wilson is the far superior option. There's no question about it.
Yeah. All right, next. Who do you like, Dan?
Oh, I'm going to homer out here on this one because I don't really think it matters who's throwing him the ball, Rodgers or Love. But Davante Adams. He even showed back in the day when Brett Hundley was leading the Packers that Adams was really the only guy on that offense, even on a bum ankle. But he'll miss a game or two for you. But this guy is he's just a monster. He just eats touchdowns.
So that's your first round pick.
If you're looking at receiver, you're going to have Davante Adams right now. I believe he's the number one receiver off the board.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you. Number one, you're wrong. Adams is going number 16. He's about 4th or 5th right now. So you're actually getting a slight discount on Davante Adams for what it's worth.
He's going 3rd or 4th?
Yeah, he's going
receiver?
He went number 16, so round 2.
Okay.
Now, I should preface that by saying...
Whoa. Whose draft was that?
It was the Yahoo draft that I did, I know. Now, I took Michael Thomas ahead of him, so I could have pushed him down one more spot.
Whoa.
I'll say this, right? I didn't put Davante Adams in my must-have spot.
Yeah.
It's, you know what, for me, he's a little bit like Dalvin Cook when we talked about running backs. I really like Davante Adams. There's no questioning his talent.
Yeah.
It always seems like when he's running really hot, though, he seems to catch a concussion, catch a little bit of an injury. It just seems like he's a little more injury prone than some of these other guys, and I can't really quantify that or guarantee that it's going to happen, but he just seems like he plays hard and gets himself into some sort of little injury bugaboo more often than I care to. You know what I mean?
If I had to draft a receiver in the first round, because I don't know if I will, I think it would be Davante Adams.
And
out of all of them.
There's nothing wrong with that
at all. It's just I didn't include him in my big 4 because I feel like I'm not worried about DK Metcalf getting hurt from what I've seen. I am always a little worried about Davante Adams getting hurt. And I'll tell you what, this whole Aaron Rodgers thing, if he wasn't to play, you could cross him right off. I am not drafting Adams if it's Jordan Love throwing him the ball. That's my personal.
And
Gotcha.
And my last must start guy is he's the new anointed number 1 receiver out in Atlanta with Julio gone, and that's Calvin Ridley. And even with Julio there, when Matt Ryan was looking to throw the ball deep, it was going to Calvin Ridley. It was going to Calvin Ridley. His air yards per target were off the chart. He
Monster
was
stat line last year.
He was a big play waiting to happen.
I got it here. 90 catches, 140 targets. That's wild. 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns. He's right up there with the big boys.
Yeah.
I would be a little reserved about just seeing him for the first time without Julio. Because despite Julio's injuries, he was always there taking coverage away from Ridley. So we'll see how he performs without that now. And Matt Ryan is really degrading in the arm strength. Maybe it won't hurt him or affect him. But it's a little bit of one of those.
Kyle Pitts will take some targets or some coverage,
For sure.
How do you feel about Russell Gage being the number 2?
I don't think it matters.
Do
I
you
think
like? Do you like Gage? Would he be someone you draft?
no, because this is really a two man offense right now. This
Yeah.
is going to be Pitts.
I mean, obviously
It's gonna
much
be
later,
Ridley.
but
Yeah, no,
some people are high on Russell Gage
No,
because
no
he's
sleepers
now the number 2.
No sleepers in Atlanta for me.
I'll tell you.
on
I'll
any
tell you
fronts.
what though. I can go really deep with some sleepers, and we'll get
Yeah,
to
we'll
that.
get there in a second. I'll tell you. There's I said that receiver isn't as deep as the pros claim. But the sleepers, though, there is always some truth in this stuff. And
absolutely.
There is an abundance of sleeper wide receivers to draft later.
And I think you and
it's crazy how
actually
many
have
there are,
a
actually.
whole plethora.
I'm pretty shocked how many there are, actually. I was like, I don't know how this happened, but...
Well, that's why I feel like going receiver is a bad move because of there's so much depth, right? There's a lot of now also, I mean, it's one thing to have DK Metcalf and Tyreek Hill compared to a sleeper, right?
Yeah.
Here's my logic or reasoning to anyone that wants to, like, even if you're going to do running back, it's really the same difference. If you have two really good ones and one goes down, at least you still feel like your team has that one stud that you're going to rally behind from week to. And that's for both. That's why I don't like doing the running back receiver split in the draft anymore.
The 1-1, one each?
Yeah, because as soon as one goes down, you're absolutely barren. Hypothetically, hey, if you hit the right players late, of course you can, but it really does leave you in a bit of a predicament when one goes down, and now you feel like you have very little leg to stand on. This happened to me a few years ago when I had Odell Beckham and Todd Gurley. I was running hot, man. The first 5 weeks of the season, I was like, I'm going to win the championship. And then Odell went down for the season, and I'm leaning on Gurley, and I just couldn't find any type of replacements to keep the train going, So I do like the double drafting of either position. That's why I do it. And especially in our league, if people don't know it, this can depend on the format of your league. We play 3 receivers and 2 running backs.
Yeah.
So that's why taking the 2 receivers for me is key, because when I come back for the sleeper, now I can fill up my team with 3 guys that I like.
Where a lot of leagues or some leagues will do 2 receivers and a flex.
Yeah, and you can still do it there, but a lot of people tend to try to go for the running back.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes a difference, the fact that we have 3 receiver spots.
But I would still do it with the flex. I'd still do it. It wouldn't change my opinion of being afraid to grab these receivers.
Yeah. I don't know if we should have mentioned that from the start, like our format, but really, not really, because if you're high on a guy or if you think he's going to bust, it doesn't matter what your format is.
That's my point. I agree.
Who else do you like as a receiver?
As a must-have, I mean, we hit up my last guy, and that was DeAndre Hopkins. Obviously,
You like Hopkins?
Yeah, he's obviously my number. Like him and Tyreek Hill are my tied for first. Hopkins, it's crazy. Tyreek Hill definitely boat raced him in touchdowns.
Yeah,
but there might be a case to make that drafting Hopkins over Tyreek Hill is the right move. Hopkins 115 catches to Tyreek Hill's 87. That's 160 targets to his 135. 1,400 yards to Tyreek Hill's 1,276, but only 6 touchdowns to Tyreek Hill's 15 receiving and 2 rushing touchdowns. Wow. It is a huge difference. Now the rule of football is that touchdowns are hard to project. Touchdowns can disappear year to year, so that's why I would say that there is a fair argument to make.
Even
that
at that,
Hopkins over Hill is a smart call.
Like Hopkins, you could probably peg in for 1,200 yards and 8 TDs, which is a pretty decent
but again,
floor,
projecting touchdowns is a very fickle thing to do.
The only way that I see DeAndre Hopkins busting is that if something happens to Kyler Murray and they decide,
but
Brock Osweiler.
You said 8 touchdowns, but he didn't even have that last year. He only had 6. He was great. I'm just saying.
I think 8 is reasonable. It's Kyler's second year. I think they'll be better offensively. So I think 8 is reasonable.
Oh yeah. All those big names, they were my must-haves because big name receivers, they're not this magical mirage that just floats around the second and third rounds. You can tell yourself that story if you want to, and a lot of people will tell you that story. But looking at the secondary receivers,
I got a must-have. Terry McLaurin.
Oh no,
Oh,
this seemed to be
scary
controversial because I
Terry.
got Terry as my bust. I
Oh.
don't love Terry McLaurin.
So where is Terry getting drafted right now? He's
I can tell you.
second round?
I can tell you where he's going.
He's the 20th wide receiver
I'm
on
gonna-
my list.
I'm gonna give you some hard fact reality. Terry McLaurin is WR11, so he's going pretty high up there.
Yeah.
People
so,
are drafting him as
You
a
gotta pay him.
WR1.
Yeah.
It's 36, so he's going third, fourth round. Maybe you can get him in the fourth round, and you could feel good about it. He's an interesting guy, but there's two different kinds of receivers in the NFL. There's the possession receiver, the slot guy, and then there's the
Big play.
the go route guy. And the problem with the go route guy is like Terry McLaurin is it's low targets and it's low receptions for big plays.
See, even if you look at Terry McLaurin's numbers here, and I'm just going to try to pull them up, I think he's a little bit better running in the slot.
87 receptions, 134 targets, 1,000 yards, but 4 touchdowns. But again, it was such a bad quarterback play and all that
So-
he looks pretty good.
I have this this wide receiver list rankings list. I don't know how accurate it is today, but
Probably fairly.
so I got McLaurin here on this list at 20. Okay, now I'm gonna name you 3 guys before him and 3 guys after him. All right, so we got Godwin, Julio, and Jamar Chase ahead, and then we got DJ Chark, Cortland Sutton, and Tyler Lockett right behind him.
All those guys you mentioned went way behind him.
Okay,
in the actual
draft wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're getting those guys in the 6th, 7th
Yeah.
round, where McLaurin you're paying a little
Yeah,
bit. Of
so
a
he's
premium for.
so he's definitely higher than 20 then. So
Yeah,
this
his when I look at his numbers, I can see why someone would want him. I'm not. I don't do go route receivers too much.
Yeah.
Because of the volatility. These guys can get 0 catches some games.
even if I put him at, let's say, 12, you got Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Allen Robinson, Robert Woods.
Yeah, he's going around there. He's going around there.
Compared to those guys, I mean, I really like Terry McLaurin. I really do. And
it's fair.
compared to those guys, 2nd round pick, I don't know. 3rd round pick, yeah.
He's going even a little
probably.
lower than that, though. He
Yeah,
looks like he's
a little
going
bit
around the 4th round. So
Okay.
you could feel pretty good about that.
Okay,
you know?
4th round.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I just have my
So
guys I
yes,
like and don't like.
3rd and 4th round.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it looks
I
closer
like
to
him.
4th than 3rd, though. To be honest with
Yeah.
you, he's not
okay.
going that early.
That's good then.
Yeah.
That's good news.
Yeah,
That's good
yeah.
news for me, who's high on him.
Yeah.
Because I'll definitely be looking
But
to draft
you see what I'm
McLaurin.
saying here? It's wild because like he's a WR1 technically by some
Yeah.
of these rankings, and that's the 4th round. It's weird. These running backs all go in the 1st round.
Yeah.
And that's it. And you have this WR1 tree stretching all the way to the 4th round. It's a
Yeah.
very strange thing with fantasy where people just don't seem to want these receivers. I'm not really sure what that's about, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
All
Allen
right.
Robinson's right behind him. How do you feel with that? Allen Robinson or Terry McLaurin?
McLaurin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do. Yeah.
Ironically, I have them both on my bust list. I'm not really, which is not fair to Robinson, but I'm not.
Well,
I'm not feeling the Chicago
Not the worst.
receiver.
It's not the worst prediction.
You know, it's just the Chicago receiver thing. It never really works
Well,
out too well.
well, Robinson has proved that it doesn't matter. He's pretty much quarterback.
It's true.
proof,
It's true.
you know?
There's been weeks where I went, man, why do I always disbelieve in this guy? And then
Even
he
when
has
you
like
go
a
all the way back to
big
Jacksonville.
week.
You know?
Yeah.
How do you feel about your boy Odell Beckham?
Man, I'll tell you this much. If you've been an Odell Beckham supporter, it's getting easier and easier to get him back on your team. Because, this guy started out at the top of the tier, and now it's like the shit tier. Like, hey, you want Odell? I'll give you a shiny penny for him, because that's about how much he's worth right now. He's going 3rd receiver tier.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, to be honest. I didn't make a grandstand. He ain't no sleeper, I'll tell you that much. It's not like, but... you can take him if you want. For me, I've always been a big fan of his, but how many MCL injuries is too many?
Yeah.
And the answer is I don't know. Probably more than he's had.
Yeah.
So I'm not really feeling him, and I don't know. Especially the way I'm drafting myself, I have to look at running backs when I get to that point in the draft.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
and so I can't afford to just take a 7th receiver on when I need to fill up my running back. So he might make someone happy if they take him in the like 000th round. It's
Well,
like,
it
hey,
looks like 5th round maybe.
yeah, he's going a little later than that.
Yeah.
He went 69th, so it's about 6th or something like that.
Yeah.
All I can say is I don't think the hype on him is coming back around, and I don't think that anyone's going to be reaching to the stars to grab Odell at this point. It's just
Yeah.
you can only get burned so many times by this guy, man.
Yeah, he's
It's really sad.
high risk pick.
It's really sad. Well, but where's the reward though? We're starting to see less and less of the reward from Odell Beckham. I mean, and again, I've been a big supporter of his whole career.
Oh, we know.
Yeah, and it's painful when you have the role.
He drafted Odell before
Twice.
No, but you drafted him so high one year.
First
overall.
Yeah.
Well, no, it was the first round.
Yeah.
It was
No, but I was second or third or whatever, and I did it 2 years in a row.
Oh, I wish I could pull this up on my
on
my
do you
Yahoo.
remember what year it was?
Because he was a giant. I got him when he was a giant with old aging Eli, and it was ugly. And that's what and again, I always tell people, be careful drafting good players on bad teams.
Yeah.
Odell was a champion in New York. He was an absolute freak in nature, and Eli Manning just could not get him the ball.
Yeah.
So I was dying. Even when he was healthy, I was still dying, So,
All right, Dan.
That's what it is.
Dan, give us a guy. Give us a good guy.
A good guy. Are we looking at what we're looking for? A must-have guy, or what are we looking for
bro.
here?
Give us a good wide receiver.
Do you have any must-haves that I didn't talk about, Dan? Because I talked about basically the five and Devonta Adams.
That the fans should draft, bro. This is it. They're relying on you right now.
I think we talked about all of the must-haves, but now we're getting into the territory here where you are trying to win your draft. And there's good value right now going for Courtland Sutton, who's coming off the ACL tear for the Broncos.
Yeah.
But, the Broncos really struggled to move the ball without him. And I know there's tons of people out there that are really high on Jerry Jeudy, but still with Sutton's size, it's going to make him Luck's go-to red zone guy.
I think that's a really good pick.
Yeah.
Now, where is Courtland Sutton getting drafted?
Pretty late. You're getting a fair price on Courtland Sutton. He's going really late, 87th. So that's like the 10th round. No, I'm not quite late. No, that's a 120. So not that quite late. Seventh, eighth round.
Or seventh.
Yeah, something like that.
Coming off the injury.
Yeah,
yes.
I don't love I don't love guys coming off of injuries like that. You're gonna want to see him in training camp or something to make a decision, because you never, like I've said it on the other episodes, some of these guys can take over 2 seasons to fully heal from those types of injuries.
Yeah,
so you
I like
careful.
the Courtland Sutton pick though. I do.
Yeah,
I got burned on him last year, but the value now.
I mean, you can't predict injuries, right?
No.
So I actually had him too last year in another league.
Yeah, I will say this: if you're going running back heavy, which most people will, and you're looking for a damn good receiver not later, but at a fair ADP, I was looking over my list once they were all complete, and Kenny Golladay at number 58 overall. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's late.
Yeah, this guy proved that he does have the game. He's very big. He's very tall. I don't have his numbers in front of me. I know maybe it didn't go that great last year for him.
Yeah.
But Daniel Jones has enough of an arm. Sometimes on new teams, it can be a bit of unpredictable. We don't really know how it's all going to pan out. But just at his ADP, I would, guys around him, Cooper Kupp, Adam Thielen, Deontay Johnson, Tyler Lockett. I mean, it's good value, and you could feel good about that on your team going into the season, I think. And I didn't really have much on him before we started, so I just kind of off the hip.
I like the Tyler Lockett idea over Kenny Golladay. That's a possibility for me.
Yeah, I feel like we've talked about Lockett for years though, and eventually that's gonna fall out. I don't know how long you can continue to be the man. And I've faded him his whole career, and I've regretted it for some times. But,
one thing is, I'm not big on the Tampa wide receivers. I'm not big on Godwin
Completely agree.
or Mike Evans. You need.
I've had Evans for a very long time, and he's just one of those guys that he's gonna make you want to pull your hair out. He's inconsistent.
It's
at
not
best.
completely fair all on Evans. It's this is what I was talking about in our previous episode with Brady. Brady's really obviously talented, but he's a very spread the ball and spread the wealth quarterback. He does not lock onto people. I guess maybe he did it with Edelman for a little bit. The guy's a freak though, and a short slot receiver. But when these guys that have to go,
he has Gronkowski.
When these guys have to go downfield, he doesn't lock in for 100 catches type thing. That's not what Brady's about. So it's definitely tough to have Godwin or Evans just based on all that. Now, when Jameis was there, I know what Dan is saying, but the thing is he was a little erratic. It was a lot of Jameis missing. Not all balls were great. Mike Evans is solid. He's been a solid receiver, but it's tough to have him in this offense.
Yeah.
That's why I've moved my I've moved my camp over with Jameis into New Orleans.
Yes,
where
sir.
He's going to do what he was doing in Tampa. He might throw picks, but in fantasy, I don't really care about that.
So we're all in agreement on the Tampa receivers as a
it's
pass.
a tough go, but that's
if you're forced to pick one with a gun to your head, you'd probably go ahead and take Chris Godwin, who's chasing the money right now and doesn't have any plans of being back in Tampa Bay.
I would agree with you because Godwin's been more of a slot receiver, even though he's a monster, and that's where Brady goes. And Evans' stat line last year was really helped by some wicked touchdowns. The guy was playing red zone tight end for the Bucs.
I had him on the team. I know
again,
all
you're not
about his
rely
touchdowns.
On that.
I tried to move him, but nobody was biting.
So it is what it is. But I would just avoid the Tampa Bay.
I got a nice sleeper here for you. This guy you can get pretty late, but you might have to reach for him. Kansas City's McCole Hardman.
Oh yeah,
with Sammy Watkins now in Baltimore.
Hype pieces about him.
I like McCole Hardman a lot, and he's definitely someone that I will reach for.
Fortunately, you do not have to reach for him. I don't even think he's being drafted, to be honest with
you.
And
I've got a couple guys like that.
Yeah, he's definitely being drafted.
No, I don't have him down here. In the last one that I did, I don't have McCole Hardman being drafted. I'll give you a quick rundown of the wide receiver threes that I had. Odell Beckham. This is from who got drafted. Odell, Brandon Ayuk, Chase Claypool, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Curtis Samuel, Juju Smith-Schuster, Deebo Samuel, Cortland Sutton, Robbie Anderson, Mike Williams. I didn't have McCole Hardman on the list.
So I got him right here in the 14th round. Mind you, this is not an IDP league. This is a defensive team.
Yeah.
So that's a different story. But 12-man league, a non-IDP. He got drafted in the 12th round here. So I think he's going to get drafted. I mean, McCole.
But that's so late.
The Kansas City Chiefs.
But it's so late that it's almost like.
Hey, I drafted Jimmy Graham in the last round one year, and he put up 14 touchdowns.
But I think when you talk about reaching, you can appropriately reach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can get this guy in the 10th round or something.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think people are going to... I don't have him on a list right now. I'll just tell you that from honestly. I'm not looking to draft McCole Hardman myself. So, He's
a lot like this guy right here that I've been looking at, and this totally depends on if Mac Jones is the quarterback. But Kendrick Bourne for New... I
don't know what's with you and Kendrick Bourne,
for New England, a guy like this, McDaniels, he knows how to find him. He can. He only had 2 touchdowns last year, but
now there's a guy who's not going to get drafted.
Yeah, no kidding.
600 yards,
with this guy.
Hey man, I'm going to make a note of it. All right,
Mac,
for you.
Mac Jones, he's not a guy that can move around, right? So he's got to get the ball out quickly and.
Yeah.
But major sleepers for me, I don't know if where they're being drafted, so maybe sleeper is not all correct, but Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith are going to be the target monsters in New England. They're not going to worry about receivers because they have 2 very quality tight ends in New England that they're going to use a la Gronkowski Hernandez era.
Kendrick Bourne, new quarterback. I mean, you might be right, Dan. I mean, it's not a stretch to say that he's not going to
special teams guy to me, so I wouldn't bet on him getting.
It is New England.
He'll get lost. He might get lost in the shuffle there on coverage.
Yeah,
but just watch out. He's going to have a sneaky good season.
Is that someone that you're going to draft?
Well, if you're looking at the 14th, 15th round when you're throwing darts anyway, then absolutely,
Okay.
We didn't talk about guys like Jefferson or...
Justin Jefferson is a beast. He's going to get drafted early. You're going
to have to pay a premium for him, but I think that what you're paying for him isn't worth it.
Well, I don't have sorry, you go ahead.
Because Adam Thielen's still the man there. He's proved it time and time again.
That's what I was going to say is Adam Thielen is ranked pretty low this year.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's, I don't want to tell the world this, but Adam Thielen, it could be a steal in the mid rounds.
He could be a steal, but he's appropriately priced because he gets hurt a lot. He actually does get hurt a lot.
I mean, that's a gamble.
It is a gamble, but
it's not a sure thing that he's gonna miss time.
The nice thing is the lower they go down the board, the less risk you're inheriting. So you're definitely going to be happy.
Yes.
You'll be happy to have him.
Yeah.
Whereas before he was being drafted a little too high.
Yeah, very high.
It was killing you. So it's a fair price for Thielen, I think, because it comes with a little bit of he's really good at having a monster game and then disappearing the next week because of either fatigue or banged up. I've noticed that a lot from Thielen.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson's a good pick, man. I like him. I mean,
Yeah, he escaped all my lists. I didn't really talk about him. I didn't really have a lot to say about him. It's kind of just a wait and see for me. And
I think he's got a high
flourish.
bust potential. He's got for the premium that you're paying on him.
Yeah, he's a little high, but it gets pretty thin, man. When you already get down there, when you got guys like me taking all the receivers, it starts to get thin pretty quick with those with those guys. So he'll definitely be someone's.
Another guy that you're paying a premium for that has high potential to bust is Keenan Allen.
Yeah,
this guy was a monster last year. But that being said,
Keenan Allen's the tale of two tapes, man. He spent a lot of years on the IR again and again, and he finally broke that narrative, and he's come through big.
When you go into Arrowhead though, that's good. That's different, and
he's way too high drafted now.
Way too high, just like Justin
Keenan
Jefferson.
Allen is.
Yeah.
Right behind Jefferson.
So those two guys, very high bust potential rate.
But I'll get on to sleepers because we
were talking sleepers here.
Yeah, that's all good.
Yeah.
Let's mix it up.
My top sleeper guy, again, I've had a consistent pattern here of saying that I'm a newly Jacksonville Jaguars fan.
Yeah.
And DJ Chark is going criminally low right now in drafts. He was so low that he was a WR3 on my list, and I say, you know what, I'm just going to put him on the sleepers list. Because if he's a WR3 at this point, I could reach for this guy. And, he looked really good even with Minshew, and he's been Urban Meyer's new pet project, DJ Chark. He came into camp with about 7 more pounds of muscle. They wanted him to bulk up.
Okay.
And they're just demanding him to be a better football player. They want to see more out of him. They want the effort to be there.
Yeah.
I think with Lawrence there, he's very infectious. Lawrence is gonna get these boys roaring, and
I'm looking at that too.
For the insanely low price you're paying, he is a steal.
He's going really low.
He is an absolute steal. I would bump this guy up multiple rounds, no question. You know what I mean? I'm not sure where he'll fit on my list as of yet, but he could leave with me because I am really high on Jaguars, and I am certainly high on DJ Chark. Last year was pretty ugly for Jacksonville. He still finished with 53 receptions.
It's a whole new team.
93 targets, 700 yards, and 5 touchdowns. That's one less touchdown.
And if you're the kind of guy that's sitting there and saying, well, what about Marvin Jones? Just stop. Just stop with Marvin Jones.
The point is that he's like you were even shocked yourself to see how is this guy going this low.
Yeah.
This is very strange.
Yeah.
And he's going to be one of those guys where you're going to feel really good.
Well, I hate to break it to you, Scott, but you just unveiled a secret that you might have kept to yourself.
It's fine. These things, I told you I wouldn't lie. I wouldn't lie to the people when I come on here,
No, but you know what, though? I think that he'll go a little bit earlier
That's
in
why
our draft.
I'm saying that. Multiple rounds at least. You got to bump him up because you're not going to get him at this.
Yeah, we got some killers in our league, man.
Yeah.
So.
If you want a guy that's going to be again towards the lower of the draft here, this is going to be a name that you're going to start to hear more and more, and that's Lions receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
Fourth round pick. He didn't play last year at USC because he opted out because of COVID. But 44 catches, seven touchdowns. He did go over 1,000 yards, playing alongside Michael Pittman Jr. there, and Jared Goff really likes his guy.
I actually have him as a sleeper as well.
Busting out the deep sleepers.
Deep sleeper.
Deep sleeper.
Here's what I'll say about that, Dan. General public people should understand what name brand value is.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He doesn't have any. So he probably won't be drafted. So if you really like this guy, just pick him up off the waiver wire or last round.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, so who's his competition right now? Because Galladay's in New York and Marvin Jones is in Jacksonville.
The Lions are going to be an
Amendola's gone.
Amendola's gone.
I would not endorse drafting anyone outside DeAndre Swift on the Lions, man. I mean, they're going to be an ugly team.
There's someone else there.
Tyrell Williams.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
but that's if you call that competition.
Yeah, no, he doesn't have much competition.
And Jared Goff says that this guy reminds him a lot of Cooper Kupp, and he's not a small guy by the way.
Yeah, that's some camp talk though, and
So I wanted to. So you wouldn't draft anybody besides DeAndre Swift, running backs, different subject.
Yeah,
But what about Jamal Williams? I mean, come on.
He'll have a role.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I would take Jamal Williams over DeAndre Swift.
He seems like a good handcuff. I know this. They're gonna give Swift the chance to really prove it this year because they kind of screwed him last year with giving him not giving him a chance and.
I kind of like Jamal Williams. Yeah. That's why I brought it up.
At the very least, I'll give you this. I'm actually looking at the Lions' pocket, and that's actually one of the positives they got going on. They have Frank Ragnow at center, and they drafted somebody. They look pretty good at the pocket, so I don't think Goff is gonna flourish because I mean he's a clown these days. But
see,
the running game,
even in this draft here that I got here, and this is so you got St. Brown going in about the 15th round.
There you go.
So, so he's on people's radars.
There you go. I didn't even think he was there. So there you go. Good call, man.
Same thing with McCole Hardman. I'm telling you.
Yeah, you're right. He's in the book. You're right. He is there.
So St. Brown, and you got any other sleepers?
Yeah, I've got a guy that's a similar situation, St. Brown, where he'll be given every opportunity to make an impact for the team, and that is Nico Collins, Texans wide receiver.
Yeah.
And, if Tyrod can get him the ball, we have seen Tyrod struggle over that aspect, but Collins out of Michigan, so he can block playing for Jim Harbaugh, so he's going to be on the field, right?
Yeah.
He might not have eye-popping numbers, but he did find the end zone 14 times the last time he was on the field.
Okay.
So, that was back in college.
Yeah.
But, he's going to be a big part of the team. He's a big guy too.
Surprised to see Henry Ruggs ranked so low.
That's
as
one
well.
of my. That's one of the guys that was about
sleepers.
Yeah.
Okay, go
I
for
can talk
it.
about right now. Yeah, he was one of the last guys, so I'm jumping around here a little bit. But I'm surprised that Dan is really deep diving for some of these guys when some of these quality guys are still really out there. And you just mentioned Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs' numbers won't look good on paper right now, but that's because he had a rough injury-plagued season. He got hurt really early, and he never really got back on track. I'll tell you this much. Camp talk is common with a lot of these guys. Everyone's the best shape, and everyone's going to have the best season. But I do believe John Gruden when he says he really wants to get this guy more because he wants to prove that it was the right pick. John Gruden is an egotistical guy, and he doesn't want to look stupid or wrong. And I think that you're getting Ruggs basically free. I'm not sure where he was going in the book. All these guys that I'm talking about were almost undrafted in a sense.
Yeah.
It's pretty shocking. You don't need to take a St. Brown or a Collins when you can take a Henry Ruggs, to be frank. This is a first-round receiver.
Yeah.
And rookies, rookies is tough because you never really know what you're going to get. In all sports, this really is applicable. It's hard to quantify their college numbers. And how it's going to work in the pros with rookies. You never really know. So I'd take my chances with Ruggs.
Well, if you also want a guy that's been around here and he's on a new team, but he's making quite impact, is Josh Reynolds. He's now in Tennessee, and Julio probably going to get banged up. I think this guy had a bad rap playing behind Cup and Woods there, But now I think he's in line for a great season there with the with the Rams because he's coming off 600 yard season
with the Titans.
Yeah.
Well, guys, when Dan comes back here after a few weeks in the season and goes, "Why does my team suck?" Well, you have Collins, Brown, and Reynolds as your three wide receivers. So don't be surprised when he starts complaining about
zero WRs, bro. Zero WRs.
Once again, he seems to have overlooked though some of the really quality players going really low. This is going to be another one that I think might shock you guys. We talked about him a little off air, but Tyler Boyd is almost going undrafted. It's actually comical how no one wants Tyler Boyd. Yeah, he went way, again, off the WR3 radar. He did not go in front of Robbie Anderson, Debo Samuel. He went under all these guys.
Yeah.
Last year, Tyler Boyd, and this is with or without Joe Burrow. He had 79 receptions, 110 targets, 841 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
He had a really good year.
That's decent numbers without a real quarterback. Let me reiterate, guys. They did not have a quarter. Who's Ryan Finley? Who played for them after Joe?
Yeah.
Like that's just not gonna work for you, So it's pretty shocking that Tyler Boyd is going so low. I'm sure if you looked, you'd be like, man, as if this guy. There's some strange quality receivers going very late in the draft this year. So definitely take advantage of that if you start seeing these guys. Just pile them up on your bench. The thing is, there's a very valuable asset to having valuable players late, and you can make trades for the interesting little trades for these guys down the road.
Yeah.
Because the value of these players really changes once the season starts.
Yeah, I find the wide receiver position is deep, right? You can find guys late. You can pick guys up off the wire.
Which is why the pros all say that it's deep, because it is deep in one sense. It's just it's not. They act like they're all the elite receivers, and they're not necessarily. But there's some really strange quality guys.
I think I might be looking to draft Travis Kelce with my, depending where I
He's going first, going back in the first round.
A little tight end preview. I told Dan this a few days ago. I actually have Kelce on the bust list.
Okay.
And it's really simple.
Yeah.
It's going to be, we'll call it Antonio Brown syndrome.
Okay.
Eventually, he's going to disappoint his owners when he ages out or becomes, not.
This fucking guy.
That's
technical
our
difficulties
mascot
with the dog.
playing with his toy there.
Yeah, he's pretty comfortable. So people are gonna keep drafting Kelce and keep drafting him until the wheels fall off, and eventually it's gonna be like, oh damn, that really didn't work out.
I'll tell you, I've
So
drafted him 3 years in a row now.
It's not an indictment on
so-
Kelce at all. He's an absolute legend.
Yeah,
But he's actually going in the first round, believe it or not. He's going at the 12th spot.
Yeah. I would need a late pick.
In the last mock draft that I did, when I took the 2 receivers, and it was unfortunate because literally all the guys we talked about in our previous episodes, Harris, Sanders, Montgomery, they all got drafted in my face, right? So I actually ended up drafting.
Our mascot went to go get his toy back for
He's very sad.
If you hit up our Instagram account, you can see
He's
see
very
our
sad.
mascot Scout. That's where we get our name from.
Oh, okay. All right.
He's very sad that we put an end to his zen there. He had to
He's
make
looking
a-
at
make
you
a
with
scene.
the big pouty
He had to
eyes
make a
right
scene,
now.
I was gonna cut this all up, but I'm gonna just leave it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it.
There you go, buddy.
Scout.
There you go.
Yeah. So Scout's my dog, and he's making some ruckus.
He's making a noise. He wants to be known.
Okay, so back to the receivers.
Just a real quick bow on the tight end thing, because you mentioned Kelce. The last mock draft I did, I missed out on all the running backs that I talked about earlier, because just where you are in the draft, they can go quick. Montgomery, Sanders, Harris. So I actually drafted George Kittle in the 3rd round, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the pick in front of me was Darren Waller, also in the 3rd round. So
Okay.
it's just, you can actually get Waller or Kittle pretty easily in the 3rd round.
Compared to using your first.
And this is deep in the 3rd round, because that's why I said I missed all those running backs because I was deep in the 3rd round. And so I don't like embracing the 0 RB to that degree. But when all the guys I wanted went, I just went with Kittle to see how it would work out, because that's how you use mock drafts. You use them to see what the possibilities are. Unfortunately, I'll run into a problem here because I took Josh Jacobs in the 4th round. I don't think Josh Jacobs will go in the 4th round though in real drafts. So I have to make a choice about whether I'm going to go get Jacobs instead or Kittle.
Yeah.
I don't know how it will turn out, but it was an interesting dilemma that I got to see firsthand. And those are the kind of things where you create your own questions for your draft. So now you write this down and you go, okay, which one am I going to take if presented with the options? It's a good idea to do.
You don't. You said you don't like the rookie receivers this year. Is that
Yeah, I don't like any of the rookie receivers.
really
this
even
year.
Jamar Chase?
I just don't like the situation, man.
Look at what Justin Jefferson did last
A
year.
lot of the guys coming out right now in the 1st round, they're not small, but they're definitely not your typical.
Well, Jefferson was a very roller coaster receiver last year, though. He had some really big games, but then he disappeared for a lot long stretches.
I'm pretty high on Jamar Chase. I mean,
And listen, that's okay, because Jamar Chase is going in WR3 territory.
Okay.
So you don't have to necessarily reach to the moon to grab him if you want to. The report. See, once we get to training camps and stuff, we're gonna get a lot of important information that we'll be able to relay. And one of the things that's already come out is that the Bengals have said they're not forcing targets to anybody. So unfortunately, I think what that means is Jamar Chase is not going to be in a position to see massive targets
that we think he's
or
gonna be
usage, at least with Boyd and Higgins still in the way.
Still healthy.
Yeah. I mean, remember, these guys did this last year when AJ Green was there still.
Yeah.
And they were forcing Green a shit ton of targets.
A lot of targets.
And it was just not working. So I don't think they're going to screw over their best two receivers per se.
Yeah.
They also really want to give Mixon a heavy workload. This is coming out of them. Whether
Yeah.
you can trust them or not is one thing, but I don't see how a WR3 on his own team is going to light the lamp for you in fantasy per se out of the gate.
With a wide receiver 3, let's say 6th, 7th, 8th round, I think I might gamble on Jamar Chase.
Absolutely, but we have a saying. You say I have little quips with everything. You know, I did it with running backs, I did it with quarterbacks. We call it receivers in their third round, in their third year, are the absolute
Are the
prime.
boom.
Like for some reason, receivers just boom in their third year.
Yeah.
It takes them a few years to get used to the speed, get
So-
used to the reads, the blocking.
So who's a couple receivers that are going into their third year?
I am not sure because I didn't look at the list.
If
I didn't look at it.
we're looking at a guy like Michael Gallup.
Okay.
But is there
It
enough
might
targets?
it might not be a year where there's a lot
Is
of.
Pittman going into his third?
Second year.
No, he's a rookie
He was a
second
rookie
year.
last year.
Oh,
okay.
are you talking about Michael Pittman?
Michael
Yeah.
Pittman,
Yeah,
second year.
Yeah,
I mean,
second year, yeah.
I don't know about that's a pretty low end receiver. You know what I mean? We're talking about like studs though. You know what I mean? I think like Juju Smith-Schuster blew up in his third year. Like he had a really good,
Yeah.
like guys like that, right? Where they're high.
Now
like
the only
first
thing
round
blowing up
guys.
for Juju is his TikTok account.
Yeah, well, you know, like I said, I just don't think they're in a great situation. A lot of them. And rookie receivers don't always do well. People have been spoiled by the AJ Greens, by the Julio Joneses, by the Odell Beckhams of the world that have just come in and taken over the league. But it doesn't happen too often that these receivers really take over, you know? But again, you're going to get a fair price on Chase if you really want him. I don't even know where Smith is being drafted, to be honest with you.
He's not on my radar.
so-
He's not on my radar.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase definitely is.
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle, probably
I just don't
not.
believe in
No.
Tua, man. That's the
No.
thing. Like,
Me
I
neither.
don't, you know?
Jalen Waddle, no.
Yeah.
Waddle, no.
So that's what I meant.
But
I just was-
Jamar
yeah.
is definitely on my radar.
I mean,
when
he
it
could
comes
definitely
to,
be a guy where next year, or if you're in a dynasty league or a keeper league where you have him,
Yeah.
and you're going to feel pretty good about him coming up. But I just
Yeah.
don't see it right now.
One guy that you're going to want to avoid, though, and all the experts will tell you otherwise, is DJ Moore. McCaffrey's back, and a lot of DJ Moore's usage came because out of necessity when McCaffrey was gone. But Sam Darnold has proven that he's erratic with his ball placement, and it's not going to be great, especially at the price tag you're paying for him.
Yeah.
He's going round 4, round 3.
Oh, I can definitely. He's going 51, so
Four-
4-5 swingish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I'm definitely with you on this. I've never been a big fan of DJ Moore, even back when his Cam Newton days. I've just never been a big fan of his. Sometimes he pops.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold. It's weird. Sam Darnold's back with Robbie Anderson. What a strange turn of events, in Carolina.
Yeah.
But I don't know what to think of Sam Darnold at this point. I mean, he has really just fallen off the cliff a little bit. I'm not sure if it's his fault, if it's the Jets' fault. Time will tell with the Panthers this year if he can, because their organization has been pretty cleaning it up there lately. You know, they've been drafting some decent players, and we'll see. But I don't have any desire to draft Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, DJ Moore, yeah. I kind of agree with you there as well. Another, you guys got any other busts or sleepers?
Julio!
Well, before we get there, just the one more sleeper I had, and you mentioned it earlier, so I'm not going to give it a lot of attention, but Jerry Jeudy's basically going undrafted. I think that even with
No,
Cortland, he's going very late. He's going very late.
Okay.
Because again, he's not on all these guys I'm talking about went after WR3 territory.
Okay.
So that means there's 40 receivers going before them.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by very late, right?
Okay.
52 catches last year, 113 targets, 800 yards, 3 touchdowns. And let's remember, there was a game where they didn't throw a pass. Okay, that was one of the wildest games I've ever seen in the NFL.
Yeah, I
That was
don't
terrible.
remember that quarterback's name, but I dressed him for that.
Heineke.
No.
It was something weird, but
He was
Hanky, or I'm telling you, it was like an H.
he was like a third string
Yeah,
wide
that was a
receiver.
disaster.
He was listed as a wide receiver.
because he is a wide
That's
receiver.
why
Yeah.
I played him.
Yeah,
That's why
yeah.
I played him.
Yeah,
and he ended up with like 0. He didn't get no points.
Negative, I think.
yeah.
Him and Sutton can certainly coexist. I don't see why they can't. They play 2 different positions.
yeah, I don't mind Jerry Jeudy. There's no way he's gonna go undrafted.
And this is what I'm talking about with. I didn't mean undrafted, but I meant very late.
Okay.
Very, very late. He's going right now. He's the kind of guy. Again, I would bump him up a few rounds. If the circumstances start to go his way, because we're going to wait and see who's going to win the quarterback job and all that. But
Right.
this is what I meant with Jamar Chase, right? If you had Jerry Jeudy last year, it was pretty much a waste of time. It didn't really pan out for you, and that might not be his own fault. But this year, I do think he'll take at least a step forward.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 113 targets last year. That's right up there with most of these guys. So if he can maintain the target share, even with Sutton, which I think he will, he's going to be a steal. He will be a steal, you know? Sexy player.
Like you said earlier too, Dan, is that Denver might find themselves behind in a lot of games,
They're
right?
gonna sling the ball.
Exactly, they might be throwing the ball a lot.
You know what though? No fly or no. What do they used to call their defense?
no fly zone.
zone actually might be making a comeback because didn't they draft a safety or a corner this year? Patrick Surtain is gonna be a corner.
Absolutely.
You know, with him and not Von Miller, who's near the end there, but the other guy they Chubb. He's Bradley Chubb. They're starting to put together a little bit of a team again in Denver. I feel like they really do go through these cycles where they figure it out in Denver. You know, so I'm not down on Denver, but I don't like Drew Lock. If Teddy Bridgewater wins that job, I'm gonna feel much more inclined to be targeting Broncos at their very, very discounted ADP because they are all cheap.
Yeah.
There's no.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
I think
waiting and seeing.
Bridgewater more confident.
What he did with Carolina really made me go, damn! Like I should have had some of this this Carolina because Bridgewater really brought the noise. Like I said, when I was going through making these lists. It is true that wide receiver sleepers were by far the deepest.
Yeah.
So that's where the experts get that saying that receiver is so deep you can wait.
All right. Well,
you can make a case, but
you got any other names you want to throw out there before we
Just
go to
Julio
busts?
Jones.
Okay.
well, that's busts, right? We're gonna get there in a second. So no more. I'll mention one more quick because we talked about it. CeeDee Lamb versus Amari Cooper. Player versus player on the same team.
Yeah.
It is really hard to figure out. If Amari Cooper's foot injury keeps on going here through the summer, I would dump that and I would draft CeeDee Lamb if you're a real Dallas fan that wants a piece of that.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb looks really good, and Amari Cooper is just a perpetual foot injury roller coaster guy. I like him. I was really looking at him in the offseason, but it's starting to be the same old story with Amari. So I would take a look at CeeDee Lamb.
And they're relatively ranked.
They are relatively ranked. That's why I brought it up because it's so close.
Roughly around the same.
They really are. But one is hurt and the other's not.
Exactly right.
It's
that's a tough call. Cooper or Lamb.
It is a tough call. That's why I talked about him.
You want to touch on Julio?
Guys completely injured, going to a new team, doesn't practice. That's historically been in his career, and they're a team that runs the ball, and I think he's going to be third in the pecking order.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can make it short and sweet on Julio with Dan because obviously I agree. I mentioned it earlier when we were. No, I guess I talked about when we talked about how I draft two receivers, but I had Julio 2 years ago because I really felt like that was the last great year to have him. Like this could be the last year where he leads the league. You could just see it coming with Julio, where the mileage is starting to pile up a little bit, and he's always sitting out, and it's tough when you have a player who's always questionable but might play.
All right. So in closing, I'm gonna go with my sleeper or must-have, whichever. I'll go McCole Hardman, and my bust or stay away from. I'll go with the Tampa receivers. Dan, who do you like?
For sleepers, I'm going
one guy.
I'm going Josh Reynolds.
Josh Reynolds, and stay away from Julio.
Stay away from Julio. Same team.
Stay away from Julio. One guy for
like I said, DJ Chark because he doesn't have competition. Boyd could be better.
That's a great sleeper pick, or even must have. I really like that one
because Chark isn't going to have the competition. The situation is now really fired up for him.
And your bust
to make some noise. It was Julio. Because of the name brand, people are still gonna draft him like they think they're getting a steal. Like, oh, I got Julio in the third round or something. I'm gonna win the chip. You're gonna have that guy, and it's not gonna be there. I didn't have a lot of bust hot takes, I suppose, because a lot of them are fairly drafted. But Julio's definitely going to be the guy. Like I picked on McLaurin for some reasons. But,
that's all good. But Julio is where's Julio getting in the third round?
He's going right. He's going
third or fourth.
I had him between Evans and Godwin here. I had a Cooper. I had a Woods. I had a Galladay, which is crazy, but it's just he's still going pretty high to the point where you're gonna think that you have a steal, but you might have fool's gold.
Yeah.
If this guy just took the bag and getting that last bit of money out of the NFL, which he rightly deserves. The guy's been a stalwart for the NFL.
If you want to follow us on Instagram or Twitter, it's Fantasy Football Scouts. And yeah, man. So hopefully these players that we listed and named will help you win some championships and
Keep an
some
eye on
money.
those sleepers, guys, because they're there for the taking.
Thanks for listening, guys.